while others can join. And so again, I'm saying sorry for the delay. So hope you guys are doing good in this pandemic period. So in front of the digital screen, because of that, we also got some confusions today. So you also experienced that. So that sorry for that. And then you guys are warmly welcome to our third step of webinar. So we are trying to gear up you guys to break the barriers or challenges with which block your academic pathway. So this is time. So this time we thought about a way to invest your free. Therefore, this time we got a resource person who is the best one to motivate y'all in scientific writing and what are the importance of it. It is your academic career. So I warmly welcome our keynote speaker, our dearest our dearest seniors, juniors, and my colleagues to this speaker. So I will hand over the platform to you, Mrs. Dr. M N M Adikaram, Senior Lecturer in Earth Science, Department of Physical Science, Faculty of Applied Science, Southeastern University of Sri Lanka, to gear up our agros and to unleash their potentialities. So thank you.
Right, thank you, Ms. Arosha. Actually, in this critical situation, because here power cut as well as it is heavily raining, lightning, thundering is there. Though that we'll try to go with the project or the program. Can you allow me to share the screen? Arosha?
Okay, miss. Okay, miss.
Okay, right.
Guys, and also I'm saying you can put questions and other things in chat box. Then we can discuss those in our Q&A session. Thank you.
Okay. Right, I will share the things. I hope that you all can see the things, because according to your organizing committee, the topic given based. So in that topic, I thought that it is better to go with path to becoming a researcher, because you all are very young undergraduates. So now you are going to become a researcher. So that's why I thought I should use this topic. And from that, we'll go different steps of the presentation. So in this talk, I will explain you why research is important, because now you are going to do a research in your final year project or final year thesis. So I will explain why research is important. And then what is the definition of a research? Actually, we are talking about here and there research, but what is the actual concept behind the research? And then the characteristic of the research, because there should be some specific things in a research. So what are those specific characteristics? Because you are going to start a research, and what are the different steps in such kind of a research. And finally, I will give you some experiences of mine in research field. And finally, we will discuss how to publish your own research, right? So first we will go, why do we do research? Actually, in this image, right, you can see that here in this image, you can see that the development of a cell phone or mobile phone. Earlier we called it as a cell phone. Now it is a mobile phone. We are saying mobile phone. Development of a mobile phone. So it means someone has invented in 1970s, 73 or somewhere around, the mobile phone was invented and it was named as cell phone. After that, it was developed up to the present touch screen or very sophisticated mobile phone. right? That means initially it was invented, search, and finally now it has done for a good search, right? That means again and again we are doing findings on one finding. That means in research we can say we are doing for the progress of the human life, right? We are progressing, the human life is progressing, therefore we are doing researches with the progress of the human life. And in addition, for the comfortable life, goodwill. Goodwill means we want some medicines, we want some different clothes, materials, something like materials. When you're talking about materials, we need some specific clothes which are not getting dirty quickly, right? So we addition devices, some very small devices in electronic purposes, and some processes, very easy processes, some kind of products, right? Kind of maybe food products. In right, because we are doing so many things, so many, we are going for a library and we are searching for several places and we are finding something. In the same time, through the internet, now we can find something. So that is saving time. And energy wise, that means we are talking about this renewable and unrenewable energy. So how with the energy we can do research. Then materials again, because nowadays we are thinking about these rare earth materials. How to find very effectively, cost effectively, these rare earth materials, because rare earth materials are very important in these electronic devices. Now people are searching and searching for these rare earth materials, right? That is why we are doing research. So there are so many fields in these squares. You can see so many fields. Subjects, humanities and creative arts, kind of art subjects, and engineering and environmental sciences. How we are doing engineering and how we are going for the applications of engineering in environmental side. Then education and human society. Education also we need to do researches, otherwise the same education will continue for a long time. Economics and commerce, then mathematical information, maths, computers, how to develop computers, biological and biotechnological sciences, biological things with the technology, how their applications, and medical and health sciences. Nowadays we are talking very important topic, this medical and health sciences, because we are under pandemic situation, right? Finally, agricultural and crop sciences, your field, right? So that is why we do research. Then I will explain what is a research. That is the definition for a research, right? Research is a systematic and organized way of finding answers to questions. Research, it says it is systematic. Systematic means we have to follow some procedures. I mean, we can't do the things by our own way, right? We have to follow the standard procedures. Then organized. Organized means when we are doing a research, personally we have to organize. In our heart, we have to follow that we are going to do a research. What are the things that I have to do? Likewise, we have the organization in our heart. Then finding answers to what? Questions, right? We have to find answers. Maybe initially we are making a question, and or otherwise sometimes we are using a hypothesis. Hypothesis means we are assuming this is the answer, and then we are finding or we are doing research to get the answer. But finally, it can be positive or negative, right? Sometimes it is on the other way, it can be negative, right? Then for the question means in the research, the purpose, why we are doing research, what is the important or what is the matter, right? And for example, if we want to find a new small device to connect the mobile phone and laptop. Using hypothesis or any type of imaginary, then we are doing the steps. So that is the basic definition, accepted definition for a research. Okay. Then I just explain different types of research, right? So many classifications are there when we are referring books, when we are referring articles, or when we are referring any kind of a website, we can find so many classifications. I have taken some classifications here that are talking broadly in day-to-day life. The classification, it says we can classify the research as basic research and applied research, or else we can classify qualitative research and quantitative research. On the other hand, empirical research and conceptual research. The same empirical research can be categorized again as experimental research and non-experimental research. Let me briefly show you the differences of each type. Okay, so the difference between basic research and applied research. When you're talking about research, people are talking that some are doing basic research, some people are doing applied research. So what is the difference between this basic research and applied research? When you are going to do a research, you have to select whether it is a basic research or applied research. Basic research, in the sense, it says pure research, right? It is something like the specific knowledge on the subject. Right, so we are creating new theories, right? On the other hand, we can say that the available theory, this equation can be developed further. That is, we are developing the available theory, right? So here I have given an example. What is the composition of a proton? We know what is the proton, right? So we can develop a theory, basic theory. What is the composition of the proton? That is a basic pure finding which can apply in so many other applied researches, right? That means basic theory is a theory and applied research is a kind of application of basic theories. So in applied research, solution-driven finding, right? So specific problem is there, and now we are going for a specific finding for the solution, right? For example, how to improve the composting time of a specific plant. Nowadays, we are talking about this composting because we don't have these fertilizers. Therefore, we are talking about the composting. So normally it is accepted that about 6 months is take to make a good compost quality fertilizers like that. So if you can do a research using a specific plant and to minimize the time, that 6-month period, like that, that is a kind of application, right? Because you know about the plant and you know about the compost, but you are applying some theories to make a relationship between these two, right? That is applied research. That is one kind of a classification on research. We go for the other one, qualitative research. Here we are talking about the qualities. It is something about some kind of opinions or ideas, surveys, right? So here I just took some examples. Human behavior in a crime. There is a murder case. Just imagine murder case. And we want to identify the human behavior in a crime, in this murder case. Right? In this qualitative one, we are asking the persons just imagine that there are several persons. They were there in this crime time, right? So we can go there and we have to ask the person what happened and when was the time, like that. So many questions we can ask, and we are recording the data. That is only quality, right? In quantitative research, right? We are using, or we are taking some numbers. The same crime activity, we can use testing DNA. Other than that, we are taking some blood samples of each person and we are doing the DNA test, and then we have some kind of numbers in the DNA test, right? Then we can say this much of people have involved in this murder case. That is something about quantitative research, right? So qualitative and quantitative, that is another classification. Then the most commonly thinking research side is empirical research. Empirical research and conceptual research, that is one classification. In empirical research, that is actually observation or experience on theories. We have some theories and we are doing some experiments, or we are doing some observations on theories and do kind of a research. This is the most common type of research that we are using. Develop a new face mask which is more preventable from COVID. Now we are thinking about the COVID, and there are so many research fields or ongoing researchers are there to think about this COVID. So one person can do making a face mask. Clinical face masks, KN95 face masks, which can prevent from the COVID bacteria, right? We have to do some kind of material testing, and then we have to test some time gaps, and then we have to test about availability, different types of samples on different types of people. Likewise, we are doing kind of a conceptual research, that is only an idea, right? Here, which community of people are staying safely in COVID? Just imagine we want to get a concept. We are taking different provinces of Sri Lanka and we are identifying some communities, different villages, right? The basic communities we have is Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims. So we are just reading, or we are having some kind of idea, their behavior. They are all the time staying at home, or they are going here and there. Likewise, we are just imagining things, and we are saying that the Muslim people are safely staying in COVID period. Likewise, we can just with the data or kind of ideas, we can finalize a conclusion, finalize an idea, right? That is conceptual research. That is a concept. In empirical research, that is, we are doing kind of activities, okay? This, as I told you earlier, this empirical research can be further explained into two categories, right? The thing is observational research, right? And experimental research. Here, experimental or non-experimental, the same thing. Observational is non-experimental. In there, we are observing some historical details, right? So we can identify something are there. Likewise, we can observe the things. We can collect some historical data, and those are real data, right? Not just discussions, real data, real calculations from hospitals or sometimes from other places, right? Maybe GN divisions. Likewise, we are collecting some data and we are analyzing the data to present. But we are not doing any kind of an experiment. That is non-experimental research, right? So there here one example is how video games affect for children. We can identify the scientific cases, and then we can get some data about different types of video games and different categories of children, and then we can make a statistical, we can give an idea considering an observational research without an experiment, non-experimental. In experimental research, we have to do the experiments, right? So when we are doing experiments, there are so many conditions. We have to do controls, we have to check some variations, right? In time-wise, how they are varying, and in space-wise, for example, spatial variation. Spatial variation means throughout the country, right? Throughout the country, or some area we can select Colombo, spatially throughout the Colombo, spatial, right? And time from 2020 to 2021. What is the variation? And we are doing kind of experiments. 2020 also we are doing the same experiment, and monthly we are doing the same experiment. Finally, in 2021, the same month, we are finishing the experiment. So that is continuously about time record, right? So we are doing kind of a research. We have an instrument setup and we have some materials there. So that is experimental research. Here again, one example I have given, how long it takes a coronavirus to grow, right? So many coronavirus types are there, alpha, beta, gamma, likewise. So we can select one type, and then we can check what is the time period to grow for this particular type of coronavirus, right? That is an experiment. We have to do some kind of research rather than observational research, right? Same thing, we can apply both experimental and non-experimental techniques in research. Okay, so those are the classifications, different classifications of research. Then I will explain characteristics of research, right? Characteristic of a research, first we can say, we have to focus on priority problems. A research should be very recent one, because for example, just imagine now we are doing a research about the things what happened during the 2004 tsunami time, right? That is a specific natural accident, and then we are just imagine, or we are doing some research like that, social research. So is it important for this time? No, because we have so many other new things. These days we are talking about COVID, and again we are talking about some new technology, new energy types. Those are the current or burning research topics, right? So when we are doing priority problems, that is present or day-to-day problems. Otherwise, you can't sell your research. You can't sell your findings. Okay. If you do very old or very famous thing, then very difficult to sell your research. You have to find a new thing, new trend of your subject or the broad area. Then systematic alignment. We are not doing research from here and there, right? Just maybe within these days, since I am free at home, I can start a research. Then after starting the universities, we are not doing research, we are teaching, then that research topic has been stopped. So there is no systematic alignment, right? So we have collected samples only, we have stopped there. So no systematic flow. For a research, good research, there should be a systematic alignment. In the meantime, throughout the year, we have to do the research. Next thing is logical concepts. The research should be with logical concepts, right? Because we have to think and we have to argue the things, not just present the results. You can do a new kind of a technique or new kind of a finding, but you have to present the research with logical concepts. Otherwise, the research will be not published, will be not famous. Then reductive, the term reductive, it says that something like, as I explained earlier, the mobile phone concept. Earlier, we had the mobile phones very large, and there should be an antenna and very low signal strength. Reductive. The size of the mobile phone now easily we can touch, even though now we are going for very thin or very narrow mobile phones because easy to handle, right? Reductive, we are reducing the size. While we are maximizing the usage, we are reducing the size. Even the battery.
Excuse me, miss.
Now.
Excuse me, miss.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption, miss. The problem is this is the free link, miss. Shall we start with that learn link, miss? Already I gave, no? Shall we continue up?
I can't get you.
Shall we continue with the other link, miss?
Okay.
I will send you the new link, miss. Can you please join with that link, miss?
Still 9 minutes are there, no?
Yes, miss. That's the problem. We have the free link, miss, for
okay, you can stop the.
Okay, miss. Thank you, miss. Okay, thank you, miss.
Right, okay. Can be done by someone else, right? So replicating means research. No? So in that you have to, in your research, you have to show that it is replicable. Again, someone should have the ability to do. Otherwise, people will not use your research and then they will not cite your research. That means you are wasting your time. Okay. So next one is generative new questions. In your research, there should be a space that a new direction for another type of a research. That is very important because if you are ending your research somewhere, for example, you are finding some kind of a food product, right? That should not be the last product, last and least product, because there should be some generative new directions. That means another person can have the ability, there should be a room to go and develop your findings and go further. Reading your research, people are using your research. That is very important, right? So characteristics for a good research. We can do without these things, we can do one kind of a study, but that is just a study, not for a good research, right? Next thing is research methods. Remember, these research methods and methodology. Research methodology is two different things, right? Research methods means how to do research, different types of research. And research methodology means in one research, what is the methods that we are using, right? Research methods are different categories of research. So here, techniques that are used to conduct a research. We can do collection of data and do a research, right? We can do an experiment. It can be conceptual one or maybe empirical one, whatever. We can do a collection of data and we can do a research. That is one technique. Then sometimes we can use statistical techniques for available data. That is another way, right? Now the thing is data and do a research in this something like lockdown situation, very difficult, because we can't go for a location and we can't collect the samples. We cannot do the experiments in universities. Universities are closed. Likewise, so many barriers are there for first type of research. But second type, just imagine apply statistical techniques for the available data. That can be easily accessible because there are so many available data sources. You can go for a hospital, or you can go for a GS division, or you can go for some kind of a factory and get some data, maybe Milko factory, or sometimes you can go for Ambevela factory, they have some data, right? So that is statistical techniques. Now you have huge number of data, maybe thousands of data for one location. Then you have to take this data and go for statistical calculations. Using different methods, you can calculate or you can modify this data to come with a good new finding, right? That is the second method. Third method is apply methods to evaluate the accuracy of the obtained results. That is also nowadays we can do at home, because if you have one kind of a data set, right? Someone has published already, and we have the data set of that one, and we have the results of that original result, right? So we have the analyze in another way, right? Okay, that just imagine now we have some data, kind of data about this COVID problem, right? About the human failures or death numbers, likewise. And some people have analyzed that. Per day, about 40 to 50 number of persons can be died, likewise. The results also there. But again, same time, you can take the data set and you can take the results and you can produce a new equation or new way or new prediction about these death numbers. That is a kind of third type research, right? So the first type, collection of data, is not easy for these days. And these two types, the statistical technique applications as well as evaluate the available things. Those are the possible research in these days while you're at home, right? If the online lectures are not there, you can do these type of research and you can go for your final year research. Okay, so that is research methods. Then I will explain basic steps of a research. Now I'm going that what you need from me. I'm going for that because now you want to do a research. So what are the basic steps of a research, right? So we can review literature, right? Initially, we can review literature. These things are very basic, you know. We are just considering about the history, and we are collecting some kind of data and data analysis and presenting or report writing, right? So those are the basic steps. But when you are doing a research process, we have so many other specific paths, right? So these are identify the problem. First, you have to identify the problem, right? To go for a research, there should be a problem. And then reviewing literature, you have to review the literature. Then setting research question, objectives, hypotheses. This is the design of your study. what are the things that you are going to do in your research. Then design in the sample design. How to decide the sample design, how we are going to do the sampling, and how then collecting data stage, where to go, how to find, to whom you have to communicate. Likewise, collecting data and processing and analyzing data. In part and writing the report. Right, same thing is explaining in this research process. What do I really need to find out, and how do I find the information? What information is relevant and reliable, right? Because even just imagine that you're going to collect some data from the hospital, right? And they are sometimes even that minor staff people also giving data, but not reliable, right? You have to meet this responsible person to get data. And how can I use this information? Because when you are presenting data, there should be very accurate or the very easy method to understand, especially these medical cases. Then how can I communicate my research? After that, how to show my research findings? Then what did I learn from this process? The same thing. Okay, I will explain these processes because you need these steps, because now we are going to follow or do a research. First thing is research problem, objectives, hypotheses, right? I will explain research problem. What has not done and due to what reasons? When you are finding a research problem, you have to identify what has not done, because you are doing a research for a new thing. So you want to find what are the things that has not done. Then you can do that part. And due to what reasons, why it has stopped there. You can say maybe because of some environmental conditions, maybe there are some facilities. Likewise, one kind of a research can be stopped. Then what are the reasons? The problems, right? In nowadays, what are the specific problems? Surrounding area, what are the problems? What type of problems people are facing? Especially as agros, you can find that these days that what we are calling about these fertilizers, right? You can go for that one because easily you can make some new things to create new or effective fertilizers. Those are the current burning problems. Objectives of your research, right? In aim, what do you want to research? What do you want to achieve? Here, the aim of the study is to identify the type of rice which has more sugar. Just I gave an example related to you. You can define the aim of a study. The aim of this study is to identify the type of rice. There are so many types of rice now. So which has more sugar, because we know that different people are suffering from different diseases. So in that case, we want to identify which type of rice have more sugar. That is the aim. Maybe these things already have done, but just for an example, okay? Then with your aim, you have to develop the objective, the action of the study to achieve the aim, right? So what you are going to do in your study to get that aim. The aim is here to identify the type of rice which has more sugar, right? Here the objective is to investigate the weight percentage of sugar. For 1 kilogram of sugar, what is the weight percentage? 1 kilogram of rice, what's the weight percentage of sugar? in selected price types, right? So that is a broad objective, general objective. So in the same time, you can have sub objectives which can divide your main objective, right? So to fulfill the aim, you have what is time period? Because the experiment. In the meantime, you have to do the other things also, likewise time period and error analysis. Without error calculations, you cannot publish your findings, right? Error calculation means if you are running kind of instrument setup, then you have just imagine you are getting some cow milk. Without adding the specific chemical, you are running or you are giving the same condition, maybe incubator or maybe in a fridge, whatever the environmental condition you have to give. Then you are measuring your original milk sample with the other milk sample which number of data. Then you have to identify what is the standard deviation of the study, of the data set. Likewise, all error calculations should you have to run the maybe some kind of things. Finally, in methodology, you have to mention what technique you use to interpret the data. What methods? Excel, just Excel, what any other type of method? Likewise, in methodology, you have to mention all these steps. Okay. Then results. What are your results? Right? So you have to say that what are your results? Okay. So in here, you can present your results. You have so many data set now. Maybe you have added some things for kind of a milk, and then you have some kind of a data set for a time period or maybe for table one. When you're presenting, it should be very nice. Not calculating or when you're interpreting data, we are using presenting, we are using some other different methods. And you can use graphical ways, different type of graphs like this, right? Or plots. This one, graph XRD results here. You can see some kind of XRD results and some kind of relationships, right? Different ways of representing the results, your findings. In here, some softwares like Excel, very basic thing we are using just to get the idea. In otherwise, Origin software, it is very clear, the figures. Therefore, Origin software easily we can use. In calculations, we can use MATLAB, SPSS. Also, SPSS is easy because we can tabulate things, or we can present, or we can find the relationships. or ArcGIS, right? We can create beautiful maps from that. Otherwise, Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator is there, and then we can use the so very beautifully or attractively you can present your results. If the reader is looking at your book, maybe your supervisor or someone, if he looking at your book, if the results or the tables, figures, whatever the things are very nicely plotted, very nicely drew, then it is. Okay? Therefore, your findings, your research section should be very colorful and very nicely presented. Next thing is discussion. This is the very hard part of the research discussion. Okay, because now until the research, you can do many things. But in discussion, you can't convey your own ideas. You have to interpret the results. Now you have this maybe a data set, but here in discussion, you have to interpret it, critically analyze. You have to identify the relationship between two things, two elements, zircon and titanium. Likewise, you have to identify different relationships, interpreting. And you have to identify the minimum value, maximum value, what is the range, what is the average value. Those are very simple things. Then you have to interpret your raw data, right? Because in discussions, you can read some papers, the discussion has been nicely interpreted. Then you have to relate it to your research field. Now, as agros, you have to use the agricultural field and maybe some kind of a milk product, animal product, or whatever soil part. Related your findings to the specific research field. What have done earlier? This person has done this thing, but we did this thing. This person's compared to this person, our one is success, right? Related. And highlight your findings in gap filling. So now you have to mention, because you have found the research problem initially. So you have to address the research problem with your findings. Earlier, this has not and condition. This is the reason. So we know that nowadays, even animals, some animals are getting COVID virus. So that is a gap filling we can address, right? To prevent the animals from COVID cases. That is also kind of an area. What are the limitations? While you are analyzing things, you are getting an idea. Oh, I could do this part also, but I couldn't at the time. Within 4 months, I couldn't complete that part. You have to mention that limitation. The time limitation was there. Or otherwise, you can say the instrument limitation. Likewise, there are some limitations. We have not gone for deep marine environments because we can't go to sampling for deep marine environment. Along the coastal region only we have done. In one area we have done. So likewise, limitations you have to mention. And finally, you have to show the future directions in discussion. This has not been done. So this way, again, I am proposing my research in this part. It is better to do the research again. So that is a direction. Okay, in discussion, normally it should be a lengthy discussion. You have to use so many references. You have to cite many articles, refer some previous works and say that this person has done this one, but in our case, we did this part. Likewise, giving your part, your results, you can write the discussion. Then the final part of your study is conclusion. Actually, conclusion should be very small, maybe less than 1 A4 page, right? Conclusion should not be very extensive one. It should be very small one. The summary of your finding. Finally, this is the thing that you are going to present after discussing things, right? In conclusion, first sentence, you have to mention what you did in this study. We have taken maybe animal milk samples from different regions, and we analyzed the chemical composition of that. Likewise, one statement. And then you have to mention in that chemical composition, we found that high amount of maybe zinc content, or likewise, you have to mention your findings. Write your until now we wrote until the results part. Then you have to argue has eaten some kind of plants. Likewise, you have to argue so this zinc content can be due to this plant, and it is better to conduct another research. What is the composition of that plant? Likewise, a suggestion which can think after your research. Likewise, your conclusion should be very small, and it is very nicely written, a summary. Okay. After concluding your research, now you can write the abstract page of your research thesis, right? So now you have different steps. Abstract page normally about 1 page or 1.5 page. So you have to give a brief summary of your all findings, all steps: introduction, research objectives and aim, and then about the methods and results and discussions, few parts, and final conclusion of your study. That is the abstract. All right. So when you're doing the research, the references you have to mention. What type of books, what type of articles. Citing is very important. Whatever you use, reference list. And in the case of, there are so many psychological association system. So we are using normally for most of the research articles this one. Other than that, depending on the person request, maybe journal request, you have to use different research paper. Actually, it is better to use very low number of research papers if it is a empirical research, and if it is right. So it depends on the study, the number of references can be vary, right? It is better to use the very recent one. Have done likewise, very recent one, it is better to use. Then because that paper has been used the previous one, therefore no need to go for previous ones. So we can use very recent one to go for the new techniques. Okay. Right, that is about the study. Okay, that is the first part of my speech. I think still time permits with me.
Yeah, ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, then I want to discuss something about research ethics. So in a research, when you're doing a research, we should be very honest, right? To your supervisor or whoever the research partners, we should be very honestly speaking. Sometimes people are doing research and they have the data and they are not showing the data to the other person of the same group. That should not be done, right? It should be very honestly do a research. Integrity and agreements. If you have a team, research team, you and your supervisor and another supervisor from there should be a good communication with each other. Then carefulness about the people. You have to think about the people. Don't harm anyone, right? Or in case of animal, you have to think about carefully about this animal and about instruments in your laboratory, in your university, whatever the instrument that you are using. Use carefully, handle carefully the glasswares or maybe chemicals. Handle carefully because some things it can be harm for you as well, right? Then transparency. Hide the things and openness. If someone asks you what you did, it's a openness. It is open. And intellectual property. Don't copy paste, right? That is intellectual property. So that is, but if you are using some sentence or some kind of idea of a person, just within brackets write down who told this one, reference, cite that idea. Intellectual property, that is a specific research ethic. And legality. Whatever in other research institute, what is the institutional rule, right? Just imagine you are doing a research with your university and the other part of the research is somewhere, maybe Ambevela factory, right? So they are also, Ambevela factory also, they have some legal activities, some laws, right? So you have to follow the same laws because you are doing a joint research, legal activities. Otherwise, it is very unethically you're using the other person's things. And responsibility. You are a responsible person for the research, for your final conclusion. If someone asks, you have done this nonsense, what is this? You are the responsible person, your team, right? Because you published this one. So when you are doing a research, you have to contact your supervisor oftenly and ask his idea. And when you're writing or when you're presenting something, if you are using his or her name, these are the ethical techniques in research field, right? That is a separate topic that I wanted to talk you because that should be there when you're coming to the research field. Okay, then thinking about research, I should say what my experiences, what are my experiences. In here, in this image, you can see my school from the primary up to the higher studies. I went St. Joseph's Convent, Kegol, right? After that, I was selected for the Peradeniya University Science faculty. This is our faculty. And in the meantime, I was selected for the honors degree or special degree program, right? In geology And then after I was appointed as a temporary lecturer there in Peradeniya University for 1 year period, the demonstrator position. And after that, soon after that, I got an appointment as the engineering geologist of the Viharagala dam site. Right, this figure. Viharagala dam site is somewhere in the Maniganga, right, across the Maniganga. Actually, inside the jungle, we worked there very hard. Months after that, I went for the university. Then I registered for an MPhil degree in locally about these thermal springs, right? Hot water springs in Mahawaya and Marangala Mahava region. I did some publications even on that. In the meantime, in the same time, I got an opportunity to do the master degree in Japan. There I did civil and environmental engineering, right, in Japan. After that, I returned and then I completed the senior. I came up to the seniority position, and finally, presently, I am the head of that Department of Physical Sciences. So step by step, don't waste your time, because I don't know whether you're going for this academic field or research field or some kind of then my education, just telling my education, my first degree or the undergraduate period was there in Faculty of Science, Peradeniya University, and I did geology special degree, and I got the first class. And after that, I followed the master degree in Saitama. I got that civil and environmental engineering MSc. After that, I completed the doctoral degree in Sri Lanka again. I got the scholarship for the PhD there in Japan, but I could not go due to a personal reason. And there in Sri Lanka, I completed the PhD. And geochemistry and sedimentology is my field, right? Geochemical studies, sedimentological studies, especially coastal sediments, and hydrogeology, groundwater or deep water movements, and in the meantime, engineering geology. Because I have the underlying the journals are Q1 journals, right? So internationally well accepted journals, and I have published many articles on that, and in addition some local and international journals. These are the abstract publications, right? From here, my students, and especially undergraduate students, this is one undergraduate, this is one undergraduate, likewise, so many undergraduates are there. And before that, those publications are my own publications. So I mean that I suggest that being asking to stop there, but at least you have to publish an abstract, because from there you are starting your career. That will be an extra gain for your CV, for your curriculum vitae. If you have publication, one kind of abstract publication, it is how to initiate your publication, how to do your publication. Do your research in a standard way, right? You have to go, if you are collecting a data type research, you have to find correct or accurate data. It should be the standard methods. It should be reliable, and you should have a creative finding, right? In your study, you have to make a new finding, clear argument for your findings. And when you're writing an abstract, the abstract should be scientific. Read few abstracts, go through few abstracts, and follow the method. And then if you have the PowerPoint presentation, then you can imagine in front of I should talk. So you can follow the PowerPoint presentation, right? And how many conferences are there? Your university one, University Jaffna, in our university, Peradeniya, so many conferences are there. Same time, if you want to go for a manuscript or for a journal article, even for a local or international, if the findings are very good, you can go for the international one. First, write the methods, right? Standard and applications, accuracy, everything. Draw your figures and tables. The figures and tables should be clear, reliable, and scientific. Write your results. You have to mention the results very clearly in tables. Discuss your results. Use recent references, very new ones. Argue for your result, defend your findings, right? You have to argue with the previous findings. Then after writing all these things, write the introduction accordingly, right? In a research manuscript, it should be short, but it should be to the point, right? You have to mention the clearly about the objective, why you did this. Write the abstract of the article, right? If it is an international article, very brief abstract. Normally they are asking for 250 words or less than 300 or like that. And create the title. The title of your research should be real meaning of the study. Don't use too much words. It should be very short title and very informative about the research. Okay. So more time from you?
No, ma'am, it was amazing.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So can we move to that Q&A session?
Yes. Okay.
More knowledge about that scientific writing. And so with this, we'll move to the Q&A session. So you guys are free to unmute you and ask, or otherwise drop in chat box. I can moderate that. Thank you.
In addition, if you have anything, you can send me for the email or WhatsApp number is here. You can comment on things. What if you want to know something regarding the things, you can ask now.
Okay, ma'am. The agricultural that science student, how she can migrate into that earth science? What are the relationship between?
The thing is, agriculture and earth science between these two. That is agriculture field, that is soil, and in our field, that is soils and sediments, because soils, that is the weathered product of the rock. So we are talking about basically rocks and soils. So if the topic or the area is soil, we can combine. Because soil field, other than crops, we are not growing for crops, only we are going for paleontological part. And the thing is, soils we can discuss. In addition, foundation or the soil condition for kind of animal behavior, because something like crabs or shrimps, they are moving inside to the sediments in lagoonal environments, how they are getting things. Likewise, some relationships are there between agriculture and our field. Okay, satisfied?
So I think she got the answer. Then I'll move to the next question. He's asking about that when we selecting the research title, if we select the reason matter, it means that like COVID or something like that. So so mostly all are looking to these points now. So when we select that reason matters, how will that affect to the chance that we, when we publishing that in any sites, so what are the chances we have?
Your study, if it is regarding the COVID matter, a very recent problem, what is the way or what type of things you are addressing? Maybe another person from another university is addressing the same thing, right? But the thing is, your maybe your finding or your data set is not same sometimes. So in that way, you can present a different result, right? Even though if the data set is equal, the discussion part of you is different. Can you remember I discussed that 3 types of research? One is doing the research, doing an experiment. Then second thing is find the data set and analyze. Third one is you can use the results as well as with the data set and discuss with another way. So the discussion part is different. So that is why I am asking you to, soon after your graduation or soon after submitting your final thesis or presentation, make your publication. If it is an abstract, submit your abstract to a conference. Otherwise, if it is a writing an article, just prepare the article as soon as you submit. Then first one is your application. Don't worry, the same thing can be happen in same way. Even now I have a student who is doing, MPhil student who is doing research there in southeastern coastal region. And again, I found another student is doing same in the same area. But the research method or findings or presenting way is different. But both are 2 MPhil degrees. So that is there, the chances are there. Don't worry to select a topic. You can find any part.
Yes. Yeah, so someone is asking, what are the pathways to do the soil MSc?
Soil MSc. Soil MSc, there are so many pathways in foreign countries. Actually, when considering about this master degrees in Sri Lanka level, maybe postgraduate PGIA have Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, right? There are so many subject areas and so many experts are there in PGIA. So many chances are there for MSCs. In addition, foreign countries, right? Especially girls can apply for scholarships for foreign countries, but you have to have the good record for your undergraduate period, right? If you have good record for your undergraduate period with one publication at least. I mean, at least one abstract. And if you are a woman, it is very easy, or else in both women and male fields, you can apply for foreign universities for MSCs. There are so many pathways for engineering soil sciences and new applications of soil sciences. Likewise, so many chances are there. You have to search.
I think he got the answer. So I'll move to the next question. He's asking whether that when we're doing research, whether some companies based on our research, whether some companies will sponsor to us, or is there any chance to us to join with that companies or like?
That depends on your supervisor, right? Because when an undergraduate research is going on, you have to select a supervisor from your university. That is the normal way of a university. Okay, the principal supervisor should be from your university, and then in the same time you can make a collaboration, research collaboration. You can find another person as a personal way. You can find a good person in another factory or in another location. Then you can communicate with this person as well as your supervisor. Then considering these two, you can make the link, and finally you can, sometimes the company people will grants, or sometimes they have instruments. So analytical parts is the most difficult or money consumable part, right? So in your university, if you have the instruments, you can do the analysis part there. Or otherwise, if that company person has the instruments there at their company, you can get the analytical part from them. Likewise, you can join the both places, and you have to do the research, because both other persons are busy. So they are not following, going after you again and again. The thing is, if you want to go for the target, you have to get done the things from them. If you want to get done, because they will not give the things freely. You have to give the publication for them. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you for that. Then I'll move to the next question. During this pandemic situation, we don't have access to that laboratory techniques and other things. So if we are trying to do a research or something in this pandemic situation in home, how that will affect our research quality? And when we do some analysis, how it will affect that quality of our research?
That is possible. As I told you, that is the data analysis part, right? So there are some barriers, but some already we can go some places, right? So you can access for the very close place of your area related to agriculture, maybe soil sciences, maybe animal sciences, whatever the thing. Just reach wherever the nearest position of your field, right? And then you can get the data from there. You have to have a letter from your supervisor. First you have to discuss with your supervisor. This is your interest, right? And then get a letter from them. Using this letter, you can go for the company and you can discuss with the particular person. You have to show your courageous. And then if that particular person is agreed, if he or she identified that you are a good, capable student, then they will help definitely. So you can get the data set once, and you can do the interpreting part, analytical part of the data, and you can go for a very good research. Don't worry, even literature review, using the literature only you can publish. Because there is a specific field, specific article type, literature review article, a review paper, right? Recently we published, actually this year we published a conceptual paper, right? Conceptual paper means only ideas. We did not do any research, right? Because we just discussed about the mangrove plants and we identified the soil types, absorbing conditions of heavy metals of mangroves, and we wrote something. And considering the historical data, we argued something, and now we have submitted that paper. Likewise, you can do a good, very good quality research, even go for an international level. Okay.
If you guys have any more questions, you guys are free to talk. You can unmute and ask.
Yeah, if you have anything, you can raise, or otherwise you can send me later. It is better to have an open discussion because all others can also get something. Actually, I should say very big thank for you for selecting me as the keynote speaker and to discuss with me so many things regarding your site, as well as for your kind cooperation to do this one. And Rosha, if there are questions.
I think ma'am have clear all the doubts of that during the discussion. So thank you all for your patience, and once again, sorry for the today that. Nobody, we will upload the discussion area in our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So you guys can access to it. So I think you guys got some facts to make your academic pathway by this timely discussion. So this is the time to wrap up the session. So before that, it's my pleasure to invite my colleague, Mr. Dilan, to deliver a word of thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rosha. Thank you, everyone. Firstly, sorry for the inconvenience today. Now comes the end of our event. It is my privilege to deliver the vote of like to give a big thanks to our most valued keynote speaker, Dr. M N M Adikaram, to deliver a timely discussion in our platform. And of course, I would like to thank to Dr. Kannan, Senior Lecturer, Department of Agriculture Engineering, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jaffna, and all of our seniors, our batchmates, our juniors, our other faculty friends, other university friends, and all of you for your grateful effort to make this event a grand success. And also, I would like to thank our media partner, Mr. Vidushan, owner of Pocket Science, for their great support. Once again, thank you all of your presence. Let's meet it next webinar session. Until then, stay safe. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm leaving now.
Thank you, madam, for your time.